In looking at these and going back in past years, we budgeted some out of fund balance on the front end. And as you know, our fund balance is not there to budget from. That's not an option this year. So what I've done in order to keep our fund balance stable and not dip into it this year, or go in for the BEP reserve, I try to do like we talked last time, double those revenue estimates so that we can adjust for that 1% loss each year. Okay, so we try to do that on the front end. And I've listed out here for you additions, revenue reductions, recurring cuts, and non-recurring cuts. I think we've been through all these, but I'll just do a quick PowerPoint so you'll know that. Revenues, the BEP estimate, we've received April's estimate and May's estimate. It's down $204,000 from last year's budget amounts. Local funding, that's what we talked about last time, the city-county split, how we've lost that 1%. In budgeted terms, that was $469,782 that we took off of there in order to go ahead and estimate our loss this year and what we anticipate next year's loss to be. We get a reimbursement from the state for driver's ed. We had budgeted $20,000, I believe is the number. It's coming in more like 15. I never want to exaggerate our revenue estimates. I want to go under if I can. So I docked $5,000 off of that one. We also talked, and we've been talking about this for months, JTG. I talked to Kathy Pierce. I believe I informed you this last time. She says that AD&T will not be able to produce that $12,500 match. So I think the JTG program is pretty much out. We received $25,000 in revenue from that. $12,500 was from state, $12,500 was from federal, I believe. And that will be gone, $25,000. So Mr. Boone was already in the budget as far as his expenditures. We just have to recognize the loss of that revenue, so that's $25,000. We received money from the Forest Service, and I don't know exactly why this is down. I tried to get this pinpointed today, but my contact was not available. It's coming in more like 112. We've had budgeted 133, so I've adjusted that. Again, I don't want us to exaggerate our revenues. So that's on the revenue side. That's that first packet that you had laying on your desk. It's the small one. Revenues that are down. So then we go to known additions. They're listed here for you as well. We've got the mandated raise from the state. We all know that's there. Health insurance. I went to the fiscal workshop last Thursday. The state's budget was approved with a 9% increase starting in January. We have a 10% increase starting in January. Now, nothing is firm. When we talk to the insurance people at the state, they plan to know a good estimate by the end of May and finalized by July. As you know, we go May 14th to the budget committee, so I think our 10% is a fair estimate, and I'm hoping it's a safe estimate. Is it over-exaggerated? Absolutely not. It could be up to 13%, so we're going to hope for the best on that one. 10% is a good guess, and that's what we're going to go with. This packet does include a 2.5% raise for paraprofessionals. We talked about that last time. And then it has the other additions that we talked about, the mental health facility costs, the travel for the superintendent, the GASB 45 actuarial study, which we're required to do every other year, an increase for uniforms and drug testing as well. This is where we've cut, and I don't think you want me to go down this list again, but I have no additional cuts. What I will tell you is the adult ed supervisor, when we talked about that position before, and then we came back last time and talked about it a little bit more, we had 34,000, I think was the number that we had. It's more like 28,000. And that's going as we have it planned. So that was a little bit of difference there. You also have your RTI coaches going down to $9,000 per year. Mr. Julian asked me about this earlier, and it's been bounced around. I don't know where you want to go with that, but we're cutting out a lot of RTI. Jerry Beth just talked about no assistants being there, so just a heads up on that, there you have it. We have cut the 8 teaching positions through attrition. We've eliminated 2 ISS positions, and of course the RTI. Instructional supplies are cut in this. Textbooks are also cut in this. We got the waiver from the state, and those are in there. Other supplies and materials, other charges. This is just all stuff that we talked about during those cuts when we're talking recurring or non-recurring. then again, it's got the cuts to the transportation budget as well. We talked about that, how we feel about that, and it also has the architect fees cut and the board member and central office capital outlay cut is included in that. This is what you have on your summary sheet. Revenues minus expenditures, where we come up short. $789,619. If we leave everything like it is, that's where we're at today. Now, what is not included in that, we talked about instructional assistants, that's not in there, cutting those. Art and music is not in there, cutting those. But the 2.5 for paraprofessional, that's in there. I don't know any more details to give you. I'm just about detailed out. But we've got to have, what we need to have today is what are we going to go ask for? Are we going to ask for $789,619, or are we going to keep working on it?
I think we need to ask for the $789. Yeah, because we've got to, you know, it's kind of misleading to say we've got to cut our budget over last year when we had a $714,000 expenditure increase. That's not really a cut. That's new money that we're expected to come up with. It's not the same as cutting something you had last year. They're giving you they're charging you more money, and so I think we need to explain to the county commission the only way we can fund that increase, that mandate from the state, is for them to give us the money.
I would consider that an unfunded state mandate is how I would
If they
describe
just
it.
don't do it, I guess we'll have to do something, but I think it's in the best interest of the students of Carter County. I mean, I don't want to see taxes. We've been taxed to death, and we've got some major things going on in Elizabeth and Carter County. We're on the way to being bankrupt, but we need to ask for the schools what we need for these children.
Great. I think that's a good approach. Could I bring up one thing, just with Ms. Duggar, Dr. Duggar's request that we consider adding, you know, her program has the requirements as any federal program. I know it adds another $45,000 when you figure a salary and benefits or so thereabouts. Unless we have other plans or other ways of trying to fund the additional help. But I've wondered for several years now, you know, how she does what she does throughout the county.
Is that program mandated?
ESL program.
Mandated by the federal government?
Yes.
You don't have much of a choice.
No.
The only thing I asked Dr. Nay, no child left behind is on the chopping block in Washington. Have you heard anything, Dr. Nay, that those programs like that are going to be still continuing, or possibly will be cut, or you know anything at all?
I haven't heard anything lately as far as what's going on with the reauthorization. I would not foresee the ESL program being one that will be cut, ever really. But I don't foresee it as one that will receive more funding either.
It's another unfunded mandate.
I would think that it would remain longer than some of the others.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's absolutely a necessity, looks
Yeah.
like.
Yes, and I have to say too, I mean, as the director of federal programs, I appreciate so much what Dr. Duggar does because, you know, technically I have to oversee all the federal programs. I don't have to do very much at all with her. She does go above and beyond. And when we are monitored, you know, everything has been perfect. Her kids do have great test scores. But like she said as well, even if we find funding, it's very difficult to find those teachers.
So we're talking about adding that salary to that number?
Yeah.
Situation.
I would recommend you use $50,000 for that number. I know we mentioned 45, but your entry-level person is not going to have the certification that you need for this program, and I don't think they'll have the ambition to go for it. Dr. Duggar has expressed her passion for this program, but most entry-level teachers are not going to have that certification, and they won't have that passion.
Where do they have to go get the certification? They all have to go to?
It is now, when I got my certification 13 years ago, it was out of our area. But now ETSU does have a program, and there are some online programs. And there are some people out there. I had email from a lady, she didn't contact me this year, but she contacted me last year. She came and observed me during one of the classes, and then she couldn't find a job, so she went to China. So I'm hoping that, I'm gonna go back, and if we get this position approved, I'd like to dig through my email and find her and see if she's still available. But I've been told a couple people that might be in the area and that might be available, but it is difficult to find. It is a difficult position to find someone certified.
Suppose, some of these teachers that, you know, that we're gonna have to cut, if one of those would go back and get that certification, become highly qualified in it.
I don't think we have any teachers that we're actually cutting. We're eliminating positions through attrition, so
Okay,
those people are going home and they want to. That was their choice. to
at
go
this
home.
point in time.
Yeah, but you may have someone who would,
Somebody
you know, somebody
might
that we
be
haven't thought
interested in
about,
that.
that you could eliminate through that.
I know when I was with the title, I had a couple of these titles, and I had that one. But anyway, as long as we had a tutor that, with the language that they came in with, I know I had to get Portuguese once, and you know, but it was okay. They've changed the laws much now, though.
We have 3 languages now in Carter County, an Indian language, Tagalog, and Spanish. But we are not required to actually teach in their language. We've been trained to teach people who do not speak that language English. And we don't use the language at all in regular instruction. They're never tested in that. We're an English-only state. And there might be, I would request too, that this person be fluent in Spanish, because most of our students are Hispanic, and we have a real problem with communicating with parents. From 7:30 to 8 o'clock every morning, I'm the message line that parents call me in the morning if so-and-so is absent and they can't speak English and they can't call the schools. So I pass that information on to the teachers. I strongly recommend that you hire someone who is fluent in Spanish, who would be able to help when I'm no longer here.
And there's a problem with so many different dialects too.
Yes.
In the Spanish language.
Well, yes, and my daughter's in Memphis now, but she did tell me that she knew of someone in this area who was a Spanish teacher and went back and got his ESL certification. I haven't looked to see where he is at this point, but he is in this area. There are some people there, but let's face it, we are one of the lower paid systems, and so we would have to find someone who would be available and who would be willing to come to our system, which I hope we could find.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned something that brought to Dr. Ellison's attention the other day, and I think we both agreed with it as we communicated. I think we got out some letters today, and we have one additional requirement. The letters that was put out today, we've got a May 15th deadline for several things. One's non-tenure. The non-tenure letters has to be in the teacher's hands by the 15th of May. We have the possibility, depending on funding, requiring the funding needed, that we'll have to cut some certified positions that would be art and music. Looking ahead, we need to give a prior notice for that, for those cuts. And, it's a tentative, I guess, arrangement, but we're safer to go ahead and give it and be legal with it. Aides, instructional aides has also been notified, and ISS teachers, which I think there's a couple of them. And just want the board to know that, I guess if we get calls, it's based on the fact that people are getting these letters and assuming that they're going to be cut. They're not cut yet, and I've explained to everybody that's called today, these positions are on the table as an option to balance our budget. Now, that's basically where we're at. And, you know, I hate to send those letters out. I expressed it to Dr. Ellis, but I think legally, in order to do it, to keep from being obligated afterwards, if we had to, we had no other choice. Now, there's one other requirement that I have, that I think we will need to do, and that is notify the association of the union and the representative president, as it's reflected in our contract. So this will be done tomorrow, just so that they'll be, I guess, made aware of the fact of the possibilities of the art music teacher cuts as well. Something like that.
Okay, what did we decide on the sax? I know that you were talking about the music and art, they had sax, not really not, is that correct?
It's my understanding that if you are a member of SACS, you have to have art and music. So SACS was not cut. It's not listed as a cut, so therefore you would be required to have art and music. Now, if you eliminate SACS, you can eliminate art and music. That's my understanding. Again, I'm not an educator, but I think you have to have both of them.
Well, I think we're in a situation if the county court can't have the son, we're gonna have to eliminate it. So that's one will take care of the other.
If you, I realize that there's a money problem, but you know, when you eliminate art and music, you eliminate teacher planning time, you eliminate their assistants. There again, first thing you know, the teacher's gonna be back 30 years ago, and we're gonna have a mass exit of our students.
I'm hoping that the county commission will feel that way too. They'll be willing to fund that. I think the community will want to.
There's just such a, that's going back, way back.
So, yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Even if you cut art and music, the planning time will have to be provided for other teachers because that's a state mandate. Through scheduling, and we are going to a block schedule, which will make it much easier.
I'm talking about the elementaries.
They'll still
We
be-
have to hire aides though to take care of that planning time.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, but you still have to give it
That's
to
what I'm
them.
saying. So if they get rid of one, you hire another.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So many mandates and so little money. It's unbelievable.
We've been in the last quite a few years, we've been in a situation that the influx of BEP, which started in '93, was kind of like winning the lottery. A lot of money came in, it was easy to spend on things, and it was spent on things, and we had an influx of money, but over the last few years, people's been here know that we have absorbed 25% increases in insurance, which we've done. Probably, our increase is probably, might as well say doubled in the last 10, 12 years. And we've absorbed that. And we've absorbed a lot of cuts, a lot of things that were cut out through because we had the budget to do it with. And we've been trimming, but now we're in a situation that we're cutting absolute necessities if we're going to go. Now, I'm all for the, don't misunderstand, I'm all for the teachers getting this raised, but they're taxpayers too, maybe they have to pay for their own raise, we all can, you know. It's just the way it is, I mean, it's not good, that's the way it is.
You say something, Mr. Holder, on the, this board and the previous boards, I think has done some things. And this morning, we got our little booklet. It was, had our high schools in it. And I say this because, yeah, we have a lot of items here on the table, and we can always say, well, it could be worse. The bottom line is, when I looked at those pictures from the aerial view, the first thing I saw was good-looking roofs on these schools. Now, that's one thing, you know, if we look back, we have met mandates. The board has addressed facilities. The board has addressed capital projects, roofs, kitchen hoods. You know, we've been able to do a lot of that on our own. When I say our, the board and the system on their own, basically without asking for any money or pretty little, Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, we used to have, it was traditional, if we had to buy buses, 15, I wasn't with 50, I was in the system years ago. When it came time to buy buses each year, we went to the county commission and they funded that money for the buses. It didn't come out of our budget. But when DEP came along, we had that money and to work with them, we started buying buses. And then we went for years without asking them to purchase a bus, having to build. I don't think we've asked to have them purchase one in 10, 12 years. I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying that
We have spent a lot of,
we
absorbed it ourselves.
we had the money to do it with, which was, that was our obligation. But now we've come to the point that not only is our budget getting cut, but our revenues are getting cut too. Of course, revenues are cut for everybody. The working people, our college jobs are taking cuts in their pay. We're just in a very serious time. And if they, we asked for it, and I know the situation they're in, they're faced with a lot more expenditure for the jail. We're faced with other expenditures that other people are going to have basic necessities in the other departments of the county government. And it's, I I hate to throw this in their lap, but they're the people you go to, and then they'll have to step through it. And I think they're in sympathy with us, and I think they would do it, but they may not be able to. But I think it's our responsibility to ask. That's school board meeting. And I assume you're going to have a PowerPoint like we had last year?
Yeah,
That made the difference last year. They
I
saw.
want to explain to them what we're doing with our revenues, to see that offset. I don't know that I'll get completely through, but that's my goal, is to explain to them that maintenance of effort and why we're losing so much money, because they don't see that. They see that we're still giving you the same amount, and they are. It's just that the split is different. They're still funding the same amount for schools, and I want to start on that end and show them that, and then I want to show them the mandates that we've received that we don't have funding for. And then we'll go from there. But I think once you look at the revenues that we've lost and the mandates that we've had to absorb, you have more than that already. And then we can show them the cuts that we've made to try to get it to where we're at. You guys have made significant cuts. It's nothing to sneeze at. When you look at 789, it makes it seem small, but if you could have looked at where we could have been at the very first of this, we would have been much worse than this, very much. You had almost 1.3 in just cuts alone. That didn't count your revenues that you'd already lost. So you're looking closer to $2 million.
We'll say 1.8 or
Yeah, that you've trimmed to be down to 789. So I want them to see the whole picture, but I also want them to see the bottom line where we're at.
What I want them to understand is we paid basically taking 1.8 million or 1.5 million in cuts. But then comes this raise. And on top of that, which means that we're going to have to cut, and we have to pay for this raise, we're going to have $2.5 million or more. And we decide on how we can do it. We have to, but
we're not going to have a quality of education.
like somebody said earlier, we're going back up 15 years, if we feel the way it's hard, we need to start things like that.
That's regression, you don't want to do that.
Then we're going to be short more students next year,
It's just going to keep going.
If we go Monday night and we present this, we should know by Wednesday's workshop or schedule, we'll know if we have they can't tell us because they're in workshop mode too, they can't tell us yes or no, but they can tell us ideas of where we need to go from there. So hopefully